Good evening, everyone. This is Melissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the evening news rundown. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. It is Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. The month just started and we're already this close to Thanksgiving. Hopefully, you guys are having a great week so far. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, we'd like to extend an invitation to anyone looking to advertise on a platform. Florida National News has several shows to choose from, and we're continuing to work behind the scenes to make things better for you guys. But if you're interested, just shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com to find out more. In the meantime, we're going to update you guys on the latest COVID-19 numbers globally here in the United States and in the state of Florida. So globally, according to the World Health Organization, we are seeing over 55.3 million confirmed cases and over 1.3 million confirmed deaths. Here in the United States, Johns Hopkins University reports over 11.4 million confirmed cases and nearly 250,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the state of Florida, we're seeing over 905,000 confirmed cases and over 17,000 confirmed deaths in the state of Florida. Now, getting into our world story for today, you guys have likely heard the breaking news about Moderna releasing the news that their vaccine is now 94.5% effective. So that was some wonderful news coming out of Moderna. And they've just inked a deal with the UK that will begin distribution in the spring of 2021. So according to Moderna's announcement, they will go ahead and do that release in March. They will start the distribution of that vaccine. However, Moderna's announcement didn't provide too much other terms of the agreement. However, UK Health Minister Matt Hancock said in a news conference on Monday that the deal would see Moderna, one of the two vaccine makers who so far published their positive data, meaning Moderna and Pfizer being the other one, Moderna will supply 5 million doses for next spring. So while the company didn't divulge that, the UK health minister went ahead and shared that in a news conference on Monday. Now, Moderna on Monday said their mRNA 1273 was 94.5% effective in preventing COVID-19 based on interim data from its late-stage clinical trial. Britain's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, the MHRA, back in October started a real-time review of the vaccine, a process which allows for a faster approval of a treatment. Now, the company on Tuesday said it was also on track to deliver about 500 million doses per year and possibly up to 1 billion doses per year beginning in 2021. It is tied up with manufacturing partners Lonza of Switzerland and Rovi of Spain for manufacturing and fill finish outside the US to supply vaccines to Europe and other countries outside the US. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. But speaking of the United States, a bit of unfortunate news here in the US. COVID-19 cases are on the rise in now all 50 states, according to recent NBC News data. So you guys have likely been seeing recent videos from nurses that are on the front lines pleading for folks to observe the CDC guidelines, particularly with mask wearing. But coronavirus cases have increased in all 50 states, plus DC and the US Virgin Islands and Guam over the last 2 weeks, according to NBC News' report. And in a dozen of those states, which are Vermont, Maine, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Iowa, Ohio, Colorado, Michigan, Nebraska, Kansas, Pennsylvania, and New York, infections have spiked in the last 2 weeks, meaning there has been 100% or more increase in those confirmed cases in the last 14 days. Now, the White House Coronavirus Task Force bluntly stated in its latest weekly report that there is, quote, now aggressive, unrelenting, expanding broad community spread across the country, reaching most counties without evidence of improvement, but rather further deterioration, end quote. Now, the task force report warned that current efforts to stop the spread, quote, are inadequate and must be increased to flatten the curve, and that the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday has the potential to, quote, amplify transmission considerably. Now, with so many new cases, hospitals across the country and the doctors treating the deluge of new patients were reaching the breaking point. Currently, the US leads the world with 11.3 million confirmed cases and more than 248,000 fatalities. As you guys heard me read out earlier, we're actually closer to 250,000. Now, while the two promising COVID-19 vaccines, one from Moderna, one from Pfizer, are still months away from widespread distribution, Dr. Anthony Fauci said there is still a long winter ahead and Americans need to bear down and continue wearing masks and avoid taking part in large indoor gatherings that have been accelerating the number of infections. So It's not that Thanksgiving can't happen, just be very careful with your Thanksgiving arrangements. Now, jumping here to the state of Florida, speaking of masks, there's been a bit of pushback, particularly in Seminole County. Parents are pushing back against the mask wearing policies. They're actually asking the school board in Seminole County to kind of rescind, to eliminate the mask mandate. One parent told the board, quote, "Where are we going as a country? This is scary. This is scary." So the parents during the board meeting yesterday said that they're not anti-mask, but rather they're for mask choice. They say the district's current policy ignores parents' rights to make medical decisions for their children. Several parents told the board that they took their kids out of Seminole County public schools and are either homeschooling or enrolling them in private schools, quote, "where masks are optional, children with special needs are treated with dignity, and parental rights are respected, excuse me." Now, parents in Volusia County were fired up about the same thing, and cell phone video from a recent school board meeting showed them being pulled out for refusing to wear masks inside. Now, for the Seminole County meeting, the parents were riled up, but the most they did was clap in interruption. Nobody had to be pulled out of that particular meeting. Now, currently, there are some exemptions to Seminole County's mask mandate, including kids not having to wear masks during PE, recess, lunch, and when social distancing can be implemented. In addition, those that are granted a medical exemption waiver don't have to wear the mask at certain times as well. But we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back with some more stories for you. Stay tuned, everybody.
You need time to stand still or get up and go. You need to unplug or to reconnect with those who matter most. You need to kick back, to dive in, to have your moment in the sun. You need a palace to lift your spirits, to taste the finer things. You need room to feed your soul, to remember why you travel. You need Lowe's. The legendary Lowe's Don Cesar Hotel, St. Pete Beach. The room you need.
All right, guys, welcome back to the evening news rundown. In our next story, you guys have likely heard at this point, President Trump fired his top cybersecurity official, Chris Krebs, in a message via Twitter, of course, on Tuesday, accusing him without evidence of making, quote, "a highly inaccurate statement," affirming that the November 3rd election was secure and rejecting any claims of fraud. You guys have likely been hearing the buzz around that. Trump has continued to state that the election was rigged, that he asserts that he has won and is still refusing to concede to Joe Biden, of course. Now, last week, Krebs, who worked on protecting the election from hackers, had drawn the ire of the Trump White House over efforts to debunk information, particularly for that particular website that was called Rumor Control. They were not pleased with that, but he told his associates that he did expect to be fired. Trump said on Twitter that Krebs had assured people in a, quote, "highly inaccurate statement" that the election had been secure when there were, quote, "massive improprieties and fraud, including dead people voting, poll watchers not allowed into voting locations, and voting machine errors that flip votes from Trump to Biden." Now, dozens of election security experts back on Monday released a letter saying claims of major hacks were unsubstantiated and absurd on their face. Now, Krebs had headed the Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, from its inception 2 years ago. So now that he has been fired, CISA Executive Director Brandon Wales is expected to take over in Krebs' place as the acting head of the agency as of today. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. Now, jumping here to the state of Florida, speaking of elections, the new leading legislators out of Tallahassee after the oath of office ceremony yesterday see hope emerging from this particular year of crisis. They delivered their special messages to the people virtually during the oath of office address. So after a tumultuous national election year in which coronavirus gripped the world with fear, these two new legislative leaders sent out a message of hope. Senate President Wilton Simpson and House Speaker Chris Sproles went ahead and addressed lawmakers Tuesday as their legislature met for a one-day organizational session. Now, both acknowledged the challenge created by the coronavirus pandemic, but said that new opportunities can be created as the state recovers. And while the state's budget will need to be cut, they acknowledge that Florida will have to focus on priorities such as education and the environment. Lawmakers will return for their annual session in March of next year. Now we're going to take another quick commercial break, guys, and we'll be back with your business and sports stories. And it is Wednesday, so it is hashtag Worker Wednesday. Our lovely Angel Perry is waiting in the wings to have a great conversation on what LaGuardia Airport workers are working on to work on getting healthy terminals. So stay tuned for more on that. We'll be right back.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. In our business story, Amazon is now entering the pharmacy business with online prescription fulfillment and free delivery for Amazon Prime members. You guys know that these guys have a lot in their list of services, and they have decided to go ahead and add pharmacy fulfillment to that. As you can see, this footage here from CNBC reporting the breaking news yesterday about the launch. They've decided to go ahead and enter that pharmacy business. They've been quietly building out the pharmacy offering for several years now after ramping up internal discussions back in 2017 and acquiring PillPack back in 2018. Now, the pharmacy space is notoriously complex and competitive here in the US, and Amazon Pharmacy is built in part on PillPack's infrastructure, including its pharmacy software, fulfillment centers, and relationships with health plans. So Amazon Pharmacy announced on Tuesday is the company's biggest push yet into the $300 billion market, and of course threatens the dominance of traditional pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens, as well as other large retailers that offer pharmacy services, including Walmart. Pharmacy stocks tumbled following the launch of Amazon Pharmacy. CVS shares fell 8.6 on Tuesday, 8.6%. Walgreens Boots Alliance dropped 9.6%, and shares of Rite Aid fell 16.2%. Now, GoodRx, which helps consumers find discounts on prescription drugs, even they had a tumble. Their shares fell 22.5%. Amazon shares closed slightly higher than that. So in a way, congratulations to Amazon. For the other businesses, not such great news on that particular day. But for Amazon, the announcement is well-timed, given the fact that Americans are increasingly relying on getting their medicines via mail to avoid possible exposure to COVID-19. Now, this particular shift could be permanent as more people than ever before are learning about new ways to receive their medication. Now, customers over the age of 18 will have access to the pharmacy service this week in 45 states. So this does not include Hawaii, Illinois, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Minnesota. Amazon expects to serve those states over time, so those states will be added eventually. Amazon Pharmacy will accept most forms of insurance, but could offer savings for people without insurance as well. Customers can also use flexible spending accounts for health savings accounts to buy prescriptions on the service. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that as well. Very interesting news. Now, jumping into our sports story, on the point of elections, a former NFL player actually unseated the Congressman Ben McAdams out of Utah. This is congratulations to former football player Burgess Owens. So he defeated incumbent Representative Ben McAdams in Utah's 4th congressional district race. Now, McAdams' loss is at least the 9th one this month for House Democrats, who CNN had projected would maintain control of the House of Representatives, of course. Now, McAdams conceded the race on Monday, saying in a video posted on YouTube that he called Burgess Owens to congratulate him on winning, quote, this hard-fought and close race. McAdams had defeated then Republican Representative Mia Love in 2018 to get the seat, who had held that seat since 2015 after her historic win as the first Black Republican woman elected to Congress. Now, Burgess Owens is a staunch defender of President Donald Trump and a Fox News contributor. He thanked Utah voters on Monday night in a tweet and said, quote, "I'm honored to have the opportunity to serve." He played for the New York Jets and later helped the Oakland Raiders win the Super Bowl championship in 1981. Now, in the political arena, he campaigned to uphold conservative values, opposing abortion and vowing to protect America's Second Amendment rights and secure the borders. Now, controversially, Owens has opposed NFL players kneeling during the national anthem to protest police brutality, saying during an interview with Sports Illustrated's JetCountry.com back in June that if the league commissioner, Roger Goodell, allowed Colin Kaepernick to be signed to any team and have the kneeling continue, he said, quote, "I'm willing to not watch the game." Very interesting. So now, jumping back to our conversation of COVID-19, it is Wednesday, so it is hashtag Worker Wednesday. We will bring in the lovely Angel Perry, who is, of course, the senior executive vice president of the, get this mouthful, Communications Workers of America, Local 3108. How you doing, Angel?
Hi, Melissa. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Absolutely. So doing good, doing good. Always happy to hear from you. Always love to pick your brain, tap into your awesome knowledge base. So Absolutely. Talk about this particular rally with LaGuardia Airport workers. They're rallying for healthier terminals, kind of, especially someone from that union background, and the SEIU was involved in this particular rally. So kind of fill our audience in on what's going on up there.
So just to go back a little bit, for the last 4 or 5 years, CWA, SEIU, 32BJ, are all unions that represent different workers at all the airports around the country. Mm-hmm. And what we've uncovered as we talk to people and get to know how they are treated, a lot of the workers, the jobs that they do ended up getting subcontracted over the years from the airlines. The airlines no longer wanted the responsibility of those employees because most of the airlines are unionized now. So if you work directly for the airline, more than likely there's a contract to build on, you get fair wages and benefits and all those things. So when they subcontract, those subcontractors put a lot of the employees under the guise as a service worker. Now, service workers, as we know, very similar to a waitress or waiter, they can actually be paid less than minimum wage because the idea is, oh, well, the general public is going to give you compensation via tip. But say that worker that transfers grandma from one gate to another, most people believe and think that all these employees are working for different parts of the airline. Now, realizing they're subcontracted to these companies that pay almost nothing. Now, the Healthy Terminal Act is a much needed part of the contract for a lot of the workers at the airports for health benefits. We're talking about, we're in the middle of a pandemic. If the person does not have health insurance or a way to go to the doctor or pay for meds, you're talking about somebody that's potentially exposed to all these varying communal diseases. We have COVID, which is new, but we have all kinds of communal diseases that still don't have cures either.
Right.
So then you're asking these people to come to work sick.
Right.
This act has been passed in the state legislature. Governor Cuomo, you just need to sign unless you're asking people to come to work sick. It's on your desk.
Right on. So is this something that is also, and forgive me if you mentioned this a little bit before, but is this also something that you're seeing in other like airports in other parts of the country as well? Because you mentioned you and the SEIU, you guys have been working on this on a national scale.
So New York is one of the first that we were able to accomplish this bill being passed. Um, it's a hard fight. Now, a lot of the news media will say, oh, well, if workers have health insurance, then all of these things are going to go up in cost. Let's take a look at that economically. The reality is, if we're talking about profits, if someone is sick and don't have health insurance, they're going to the ER instead of going to the doctor. That's costing your local municipalities lots of money because the hospitals are then in turn asking for subsidies and everything else to cover these same people. The only people that are really gaining any profits of paying people nothing and no health insurance is these CEOs and board members that need a new yacht every year. Let's talk about the reality of it. It's expensive for any community to not have the workers, one, being paid a fair wage, because who's going to buy? Who's going to do the commerce? Wealthy people can only shop but so much, and they're wealthy for a reason. They're not spending money. So the everyday worker needs enough money to pay for where they live, which is i.e. rent and mortgage. They need to be able to afford transportation. So that goes into the auto industry. They need to be able to buy clothes and everything else. This goes right back into the community. Anybody that has the idea that somebody needs to be paid dirt for working it's ridiculous. That hurts the community. It doesn't help it.
Awesome. Mic drop as usual. Absolutely. And I mean, thank you for sharing your knowledge base on that. And this is stuff that we don't get to hear enough about. Like, we're aware of COVID-19's effect nationally, especially with NBC News releasing its report about cases being on the rise in every state now, like every state, plus the US territories. But little things like these that are happening on a state level or even on a hyperlocal level, we don't hear enough about. So definitely thank you for dissecting this and kind of shedding some light on it. This is important. This is important news to know. So as always, we appreciate you. We will certainly see you. Me. Absolutely. We'll see.
One job should be enough. And that's to be the goal for American as a people. One job should be enough.
Amen. I agree with you on that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, Angel. Always a pleasure. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Till next time.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, a final one, and then come back and wrap up with the entertainment story. So stay tuned.
All this time we fought side by side. We trained together. We lost together. And now, you're the only one standing in my way. It's been a while, old friend.
All right, guys, as we wrap up with the entertainment story, some bit of a sad news. Conan O'Brien's nightly show Conan is ending next year. He made the recent announcement that that show is going to wrap up, and he's actually been on television a whopping 28
Didn't realize that we are still live. Apparently, Melissa's had a technical difficulty, so I do apologize for that. And I didn't realize I was still on, but that's okay. I guess we will have to work on that.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Had a bit of technical difficulties on my end. Hopefully, you were able to get that final bit of news, though, with Conan O'Brien wrapping up in 2021, June to be specific. He'll continue on HBO Max, though. But thank you for your patience, and thanks as always for tuning in to the Evening News Rundown, guys. If you haven't yet, hopefully, we won't see any more bloopers like that. But if you haven't yet, be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll still be here for you no matter what. You can follow us at Florida National News on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you can get more of our updates on all of our shows. And as a quick reminder for anyone who wants to advertise, go ahead and shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in today. Hopefully, you guys have a great and wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Continue to stay safe and take care of your families. Stay tuned.